Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's afternoon episode of the No Structure Best Ball podcast. I'm your host, Matt Holzel. I'm going to be doing a quick little board lunch draft that I wanted to bring you guys in for. I want to go ahead and send out a couple quick links, and then we will get started. Again, I appreciate you guys all being here. Sit tight for just a minute, and we'll get the show on the road. Alrighty. Alrighty. Well, welcome in and thanks again for joining. If you're just rolling in, this is the afternoon lunch draft of the Little Board. You're on the No Structure Best Ball podcast. Today's sponsor is Fantasy Fitness. This is a project that I've been working on. You can go ahead and learn a lot about players and teams, integrate your dynasty rosters to get a micro edge over your league mates. Use AI to assess your rosters and strengthen your rosters. You can find that at www.fantasyfitness.io. And if you have any questions, you can DM me or get a hold of me on Twitter or X at FantasyFitIO or YouTube at FantasyFitnessIO. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with our afternoon session here. Again, we're going to be doing a little board draft. This is the $3 draft for Underdog's NFL 2026 pre-draft best ball tournaments. This tournament has a total of 189,000 entrants. Again, it's a $3 entry with a 20 entry max. I've done 8 so far, so I have 12 remaining. And the advancement structure for this particular tournament is 2 out of 12, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 10 with a 315 seat final. So harder to get out of your pod, and then same advance rate for these other 2 rounds as the big board, the 1 out of 10, 1 out of 10 scenarios. First place in this tournament is $100,000. Second place is $50,000. Third place is $25,000, so on and so forth. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the draft. This is, again, $3. We'll commit our money to the process and see how long this puppy takes to fill. If it seems like it's going to drag on for a little while, then we'll just cut the cord and hop over to the big board. But we'll give it a couple minutes just to see if people start trickling in. All right, well, I'm going to filibuster here for a few minutes while we wait to see if this tournament fills up. With that being said, couple bits of news to cover today. First and foremost, DJ Moore has been traded to the Buffalo Bills. If you haven't already received that news, which I'm sure you have, that opens up a lot of target share for Loveland and Luther Burden, as well as Rome Odunze. And that should also help free up DJ Moore a little bit up there in Buffalo. I think he's still got, some juice in the tank. So we'll just kind of see how that plays out. All these guys' ADP, I'm sure, is going to climb. Probably DJ Moore's the most, simply because he was going around pick 100. I imagine he's going to go quite a few spots above that when everything settles. Burden was already going in the 40s, as was Colston Loveland. I imagine those guys might get bumped up to the 30s, but they don't have as much room to run just kind of based on where they are already going on the board. Odunze probably, spikes up a little bit too. He was going in the 60s, I believe. Let's see. So we've had a few more trickle in here. So we're at 8 people remaining. Give this a few more minutes. Other news we've heard, I hope we've heard that David Montgomery is now down in Houston. He's going to be the lead ball carrier there with the Houston Texans. That should free him up a bit. He was going at pick 105. I think he's now going in the late 60s, early 70s, sometimes falling into the 80s. So he's already moved about 20 picks, 20 to 30 picks. And let's see, I think that, and then I think Woody Marks, obviously that's going to hurt his value. He was going in the 130s. He needs to drop 20, 30 spots, maybe more, to sort of reprice Woody Marks at this point. All right. Well, we're sitting here 8. It's been kind of stagnant. I'm going to go ahead and just open up another tab and just see how things are moving in the big board. I would like to do the little board just so I'm filling in my different tournament portfolios, but I don't want to keep us on hold for too long. Let's see. Bear with me for just one sec, folks. All right, well, yeah, let me open up that other tab just to see how things are moving in the big board. May just jump in here. There's always a chance you click here and you fill right away. And just see where we're at on this side. Active. So waiting for 7. And we'll see where we're at here with the big board. Waiting for 10. All right, well, we'll kind of let those play out. Let's talk about some of the other players. Bucky Irving is the only running back of any significance on the Bucks in the Bucks backfield right now. Both Rachaad White and Sean Tucker are hitting free agency. So, I think that's wheels up a little bit for Bucky. I still worry a little bit about his athletic profile and just his size, if he can maintain, if he can take the volume that we want him to without getting hurt. So I worry a little bit about him and his price. He was a 4th rounder out of Oregon, but he is involved in both the passing and the rushing game. So he's fine where he's going, but I do worry in that cluster of running backs in the back of the second, beginning of third. I do worry about him probably the most, just in terms of holding up. Obviously, we talked about David Montgomery. That clears the way for Jahmyr Gibbs to be, easily make a case for him as the 101 now. Obviously, Bijan can be the 101, 102 as well. But I think, with Monty out of the way, this really opens things up for Gibbs. They are going to bring somebody in. It'll be interesting to see who they fill that role with. I've kind of thrown around like Brian Robinson as a name that might end up there. Maybe Tony Pollard gets cut in Tennessee and he ends up there, something like that. So we'll just kind of have to see what transpires. Right now we've got 4 for the big board and 7 for the little board. That hasn't moved in some time. The big board is moving, so we may just have to change this to the big board draft, lunch draft. Looks like that's where we're headed. Other names, like we said, Woody Marks needs to drop probably 30, 40 picks. I don't understand the ADP right now on Cam Skattebo, going around guys like that's whose roles seem a little bit more secure. In names like Travion, he's kind of moved up a little bit. Quinshon, even at this point, I think deserves to be ahead of Skattebo. RJ Harvey, I think, deserves to be ahead of Skattebo too, just because it's a better situation, even though they're probably going to bring in a free agent or a rookie in Denver. So, those are my thoughts there on RJ and Skattebo. Other names, I mean, Diggs, we probably heard the news that Diggs is getting cut. So he needs to drop. His situation's completely unknown at this point. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go big board on this. We're going to leave the little board by little board. I'm going to make this the big board lunch draft. Big board. All right. Draft is starting, and we landed the number 2 hole. We're behind Fantasy News and ahead of Baron Mooney. Don't really know any of the other names in this room. Mostly badges. Should be fun, should be competitive. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, if you just joined, you are on the No Structure Best Ball podcast presented to you by Fantasy Fitness. I'm your host, Matt Holzel, and I'm going to be taking you through this draft. And we are going to be drafting a banger today. Again, you can find me on X at Fantasy Fit or on YouTube at Fantasy Fit, Twitter X at Fantasy Fit IO or YouTube at Fantasy Fitness IO. Thanks again, and here we go. Jahmyr Gibbs goes number 1. Bijan drops to number 2. We'll go ahead and scoop up some Robinson at number 2. Chase at 3. That makes sense to me. Puka at 4. JSN at 5. All right, let's move over to the board view so I can watch these players come off the board. This is my 6th stream or so of the year. This is my 60th plus draft on the big board, so a little less than halfway through. Trying to do 1 or 2 a day, depending on schedule and availability. Trying to stream as many of them as I can as well. Talking through the board, talking through player takes, looking at texture, structure of the builds. I think it all helps in terms of improving your skills, your drafting abilities, I guess, putting together better builds and better rosters, getting feedback from the audience, engaging, building a following and an audience. Those are all some of the goals that I have. I want to have it on the record so that if I do well in a tournament, win a tournament, be able to look back on this draft and go through the entire draft because it will be recorded. What is the thought process? What was the build? What was, really what was the strategy effectively, I guess is what I'm getting at. And so having this on tape really helps, create a permanent record, so to speak, of all of your work. And I think that can be important. If you have the time to do it and you have the ambitions to do it, which I do, then I'm going to go ahead and do it. And yeah, hopefully provide you guys some good content throughout the process. As the 1-2 turn happened here, we had Genty and Love get pulled up to the 201, pick 13. Then we had Jefferson, Barkley, Neighbors, Henry, Brown, Hampton. Bucky goes up here into the second round. London followed by McBride, and we are on the clock. And at pick 23, I'm going to go ahead and scoop my boy Bowers here. The Bowers Robinson combos, I don't know if I have any of those. If I do, it's probably one or so in the portfolio. So being able to get that Bijan Bowers combo in the first 2 rounds is cool and unique. See what we want to do here in the second. Going back to the board real quick, after Bowers, we had Allen go off. And then here at the start of the 3rd round, we have A.J. Brown. Alrighty, I have a couple choices here. I can go Pickens or Collins. I like them both, or Olave. Honestly, I like Olave in this group the most. So I'm just going to go ahead and scoop Olave, get a little bit of that NFC South divisional correlation going on with Olave and Bijan. We're pre-schedules in this particular tournament before BBN gets released, and we don't know the schedules for all the teams throughout the year. One of my strategies that I like to deploy is drafting players without reaching, of course, and within following good process and structure. I want to keep players in divisions if I can, or draft players onto the same roster from the same division. So in this case, NFC South, we have New Orleans and Atlanta. That could turn out to be a Week 17 matchup. They do all those divisional games towards the end of the year, and we could get a matchup either in the playoffs during the cut downs or in the finals between divisional teams. So that's just something small that I try to think about a little bit. I'll say not as like something that overrides taking a more talented player for an inferior player just to create that level of divisional correlation. So I want to be clear about that. So here through 3, we have Bijan, Chris Olave, and Brock Bowers. I like that start. That's a fun start. I don't think I have that combo through 3 rounds yet in 70 drafts. So be fun to add that to the portfolio. Now I just need to go out of my way not to screw up the rest of this draft so that I don't take a good team with a good start and turn it into like a nothing burger team, that's just kind of dead in the portfolio. Every pick matters. You need to be on top of your game, managing your queue, thinking through your build constantly. I try not to get too distracted, even when I've got you guys on here listening to me, because I want every team to count. It's hard enough to win a tournament like this. Take it seriously. Be focused. Have fun. In this range, I like guys like Chamo, Zay, Mbuka, Colston a little bit now that he's gonna elevate a little bit with the exit of DJ Moore. We'll see what makes it back to us. We're still 3 picks away. Loveland goes. Zay goes. And Amika's there. Yes. Give me some Emeka Egbuka. We got the Ohio State wide receiver room cooking right now, and NFC South divisional correlation between Tampa, New Orleans, and Atlanta. Didn't do anything special to make that happen. It's just kind of fallen into my lap, but definitely part of the strategy. We're back on the clock. I like Travion, and then you got to take me down here to like Tate. Yeah, give me Travion. I like that explosiveness. I know we've got Rhamondre Stevenson, and he's, gonna definitely earn his own set of carries in that backfield. But Travion doesn't need a lot, and those are the players I look for in best ball. Explosive players. He can also consolidate the carries in a backfield in the event that Rhamondre Stevenson is injured. So let's say that does happen for a stretch. Rhamondre's out for a handful of games. We saw last year Travion can put up 30+ points per game in those scenarios. Sometimes I think that he just, there's going to be games where he just doesn't get a lot of usage, and that'll be frustrating. But in best ball, if we can build around that, the spike week upside that he offers, relative to some of the pieces around him, I think he's, maybe slightly overpriced. We did get him at a slight discount, but definitely love the profile for best ball. And I wasn't huge on him last year, but he grew on me throughout the season. So, I'm going to come off old stands and, never want to be, too cemented on a player take. Maybe that's not the best way of saying it, but you guys know what I mean. Come on now, you know what I'm saying. All right, 0-2-2-1 build. Bijan, Travion, Olave, Egbuka, Bowers at the tight end position. This team is sick. Probably one of the better teams I've got cooking in the last, few drafts. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm liking it. Here we got Monty going at 63, so there's the early movement on him. DJ Moore up here at 48. That's pretty crazy, but he's moved on 50 points, 50 spots, I should say. We are 4 picks away. Jordan Tyson is still on the board. Marvin Harrison still on the board. DK Metcalf still on the board. Quarterbacks wise, we got Drake May and Jalen Hurts on the board. Down a little further, Ricky Pearsall, Michael Wilson, Alec Pierce. He goes Metcalf. I go Jordan Tyson. Rookie phenom out of Arizona State University. Really good advanced metrics, underlying metrics. Scores out really well in my prospect model. It's a model that I'm working on for college prospects. I try to give them sort of an overall talent score or prospect score. He grades out as the #1 wide receiver in my model right now. I do like Tate and our other boy from USC, drawing a blank on the name right now. Real quick, we're back on the clock. I can't let Jalen Hurts get past me at this price. I feel like this is an egregious price for him. So we're going to go ahead and scoop up Jalen Hurts at 74. He used to go in the 4th round. Now, apparently, we can get him in the 7th. I know he's not the best passing quarterback in the league, but we play fantasy football here, and he gets a ton of yards on the ground, a ton of rushing touchdowns. The tush push is still a thing, and his upside on a single game basis is very, very high. He can compete with really anybody on a single game basis in the league. We've seen that for a number of years now. So as a piece to a a 3-player quarterback room, I think that's really good value there at 74. And we will continue on. Likewise, on the Jordan Tyson pick, he fell 10 picks. I'm not exactly sure why. We don't obviously know what team he's going to be going to, but we do know he's a very talented wide receiver, likely a first-round pick, and if not, certainly a second-round pick. So we've got 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 tight end, and 1 quarterback. Back to the board view. We had a run on quarterbacks after I took Hurts. We followed with May, Lawrence, Mahomes, Prescott, and then a few picks later, Herbert. So what is that? 6, make it 7 quarterbacks in the 7th round. Clearly, the round to get your quarterback, at least in the context of this draft. Hubbard goes off at 87. He's been moving up a little bit. Monangai, he's fallen, stayed pretty steady, but fallen a little bit. He's at 86. I'm taking Hubbard over Monangai. Monangai had a good year last year, but I've seen it multiple years in a row from Hubbard. We have Rico Dowdle as a free agent, so we don't know if he'll be back. Hubbard's under contract. He can consolidate touches. They seem to be an ascending offense. They just made the playoffs. So I do like Hubbard there. We have Laporta, followed by Pollard, followed by Michael Wilson. Let's get back to the list view. 4 picks away. Jacoby, QJ, and Pittman Jr. for the wide receivers. Guy reaches down and grabs Jordan Addison. Let's see. There was my guy. All right, back on the clock. Give me Jacoby Myers here. No reason to get cute. We have a solid wide receiver who's put himself in, he just got himself a contract with Jacksonville, multi-year deal. Oof. Kyle Pitts for Jadarian Price. Or we get a quarterback here. Let's get a quarterback. Let's go Bo Nix. Let's go Bo Nix. I was going to maybe grab Baker because of the stack with Amika, but I feel like Bo's got more upside than maybe anybody outside of Purdy in this range with his rushing upside. The fact that they do like to pass a lot in Denver. I can backstack him with multiple pieces. And I think he's just underpriced here at pick 100, pick 98 in this case. I think he should be going about 10 picks higher. That's a personal opinion. And with that, we went ahead and took Bo Nix with the pick 98. Thought about Pitts, but we have Bowers, and I'm fine with that. We can get out of structure. I don't care. I just like Bo Nix more than Kyle Pitts. I think he was the highest rated player at that part of the board in terms of what he can return in value. We could stop at 2 with this build. We could get a 3rd. We have all sorts of options now at the quarterback position. Gives us a lot of ways to play it if we get a faller. And otherwise, we're looking at expanding in a little bit later on in the running back room. I think there's some value pockets later, unless somebody like a Jonah Coleman falls. I don't really like these other guys too much unless they fall. until we kind of get down into the 150 range. That's where I kind of get more interested in the running backs. If we're sort of building from the back to the front and we know the layout of the board and where those value pockets exist, we can sort of build into those positions when we reach those pockets. So in this range, it's quarterback, it's wide receiver more so than anything. But we'll just kind of have to see what the board gives us. Again, appreciate you guys being here. We are doing the big board lunch draft. This is the $10 draft, $200,000 to first, 150 entry max. Okay, what do we like here? I like Shakir, and I like Golden. Probably Golden over Shakir with just the news about with the news today coming down around with DJ Moore going to Buffalo. I don't know how that's going to really affect Shakir, but I like Golden as a second year upside play. First round pick out of Texas, flashed a little bit. I think he ended up with around 1.6 yards per route run, which is pretty decent for a rookie. He was a younger player, 21 years old, early declare. So with those guys, you have to, I don't know, give them some time. Hate this part of the board. There's just so much questions and uncertainty. I just don't like what I'm seeing. Sadiq maybe, but those rookie tight ends, do they ever hit? Sometimes, but they're not necessarily the best bets. I like to get him when he's sliding. I'm going to go Mendoza here. It's a little early for Mendoza, but I just don't like what else I see on the board. You could say we're a little out of structure, but this is the No Structure Best Ball podcast, so we don't care. We're going to take the best value on the board, and then we're going to deal with that later. Let's do a recap of the team. We've got a 3-2-5-1 through 11 rounds. Jalen Hurts, Bo Nix, and Fernando Mendoza. Bijan Robinson and Travion Henderson as our 1-2 punch at running back. Wide receivers include Chris Olave, Mika Mbuka, Jordan Tyson, Jacoby Myers, and Matthew Golden. They all fit the profile and the texture I want on my wide receivers in best ball format. And then we have the best tight end on the board. Got him at pick 23, the one and only Brock Bowers. You can call it a fish pick. I do not care. $12 picks away. We're getting back into that running back area where I like to start scooping value at running back. Names: J.K. Dobbins, Rachaad White, Mike Washington Jr. Those would be my first three choices. And then some pockets back here: Dylan Sampson, Brian Robinson, Ray Davis. Those are the names I'm looking at. Tell me if you agree in the comments. Hope you guys are enjoying the Big Board Lunch Draft Show. Again, my name is Matt Holzel. I'm your host today. Mike Washington Jr. gets pulled up to pick 136. Thought he might make it back to me, but he's been steaming up the board, so that is what it is. Two picks away. Here we go. Let's add to the running back room, and we're going to go ahead and snag up best pick on the board in this range, Rachaad White. Pass catching specialist, free agent. He could be going any number of places. Seattle, Denver, Detroit. I think he's going to be a great addition to a running back room as a number 2. So give me him. And then let's go ahead and scoop. Oh, it's between Dallas and Juwan. Who do we take here? Both are solid picks. Let's go Juwan. Get a little bit more of that. Let's get some of that NFC South cooking. They're pretty close for me. I really like what Juwan did last year. And he's a nice number 2 here to Brock Bowers. Probably could stop at 2 with that room, may add a 3rd, but that takes the pressure off. And don't like these wide receiver picks really around here. Maybe take a stab on Travis Hunter, like when he falls a little bit. We'll have some options back here to maybe get a stack going with Bo Nix and a Troy Franklin or a Pat Bryant. If the price is right, if not, those guys are fine naked. And then we do have a stack with Mendoza and Brock Bowers. I appreciate you guys being here. We're doing a big board draft. We are 13 rounds in, and we'll go ahead and recap the team right now. We're at the picking from the number 2 hole, and right now we have a 3-3-5-2 build. Really strong quarterback room. Jalen Hurts, Bo Nix, and some rookie upside with Fernando Mendoza, the likely number 1 pick in this year's NFL draft. Little lean so far running back, but I like the 3. Bijan Robinson, TreVeyon Henderson, and Rachaad White. Wide receiver, we're cooking with Chris Olave, Emeka Egbuka, Jordan Tyson, Jacoby Myers, and Matthew Golden. And then in the tight end room, we've got Brock Bowers, best tight end in the league, and Juwan Johnson, tight end for New Orleans. Okay. This is where it gets tricky. This is where you really got to find the value and avoid the pitfalls and the landmines. It's always a little tricky in here, and sometimes you just got to go down the board and find your guy. I don't really believe in any of the pricing back here. Market's very inefficient at this part of the board. Once you get past like the first half of the board, I think the market becomes increasingly more inefficient because there's so much more uncertainty around each additional pick. Spears goes. I like the price here on Franklin. We'll snag him at 167. Gives us a little skinny stack with Bo Nix and gives us our 6th wide receiver. 2 picks away. Coming down the home stretch here. Okay, it's between Kamani Vidal and Dylan Sampson for me. I like them both for various reasons. Think I trust the coaching and the situation a little bit more there in Charger land. So let's go ahead and scoop Kamani Vidal as our 4th. He's also involved in the passing game. We saw that he can fill in and consolidate touches if asked to. When there's injury in the running back room there for the Chargers. When Hampton went out last year with the knee injury, we saw him do very well in that stretch. So Kamani Vidal as our 4th at pick 170. Let's go ahead and recap the team. Jalen Hurts, not stacked. Bo Nix, single stack with Troy Franklin. Fernando Mendoza, single stack with Brock Bowers. In the running back room, we have 4, Bijan, TreVeyon, Rachaad White, and Kamani Vidal. Definitely got to build that out a little bit. Wide receivers are strong. We've got Chris Olave, Emeka Mbuka, Jordan Tyson, Jakobi Meyers, Matthew Golden, and Troy Franklin. And then Brock Bowers and Juwan Johnson at tight end. So really liking this room. We've got some AFC West and some NFC South divisional correlation that we've kind of put together here since we don't know schedules, and then kind of just throwing in some other pieces from other, where the players made more sense than anything else. So 7 picks away, coming down the home stretch here. Ray Davis goes. He was definitely a target in this range. Goes pretty early. Like Brian Robinson, like Trey Tucker, Kaytron Allen, Ohio State. Trey Tucker goes. Penn State running back. Nick Singleton, same thing. All right. Well, B-Rob was my pick. So we're going to kind of switch things up a little bit here. And we'll go Kaytron. Saw some stuff in his game that I liked. Take him as our 5th. We'll get a little rookie upside at that position. Otherwise, we got a pretty young squad there. Thinking. Okay. Like Torrey Horton, but he's hurt. Just going to go ahead, since we're pretty early on the edges, we're not going to get him back. I'm just going to go ahead and scoop Najee here. He's a free agent. Obviously, that's a little early, but when you're on the edges, you got to just go get your guy because he's not coming back most likely. I don't see Najee going too often at 215, very infrequently, at least in my draft rooms. So we'll scoop him here. He's a grown man. He's going to be on a football team, undoubtedly. He can consolidate carries. He can take over a backfield. He is not efficient. He's not very good in the passing game, but NFL rosters like guys like Najee Harris. NFL coaching staffs like guys like Najee Harris. So that's probably it at the running back position. We'll go ahead and finish this thing up with a couple of these wide receivers in the back here, most likely, and possibly at a tight end, but I feel pretty good about these two. So I think the focus really is going to be much more on wide receiver than anywhere else. But we'll see what the board gives us, and we'll take the value where it is. We are now into round 18, so 3 more picks. This is the Big Board Lunch Draft Best Ball Special presented to you by Fantasy Fitness. And I'm your host, Matt Holzel. Appreciate you guys being here. Guess we'll recap the team real quick. We're sitting on a 3-6-6-2 build. 3 quarterbacks include Jalen Hurts, Bo Nix, and Fernando Mendoza. Bo Nix stacked with Troy Franklin, Mendoza stacked with Brock Bowers. At the running back room, we have Bijan, Travion, Rachaad White, Kamani Vidal, Kaytron Allen, the rookie out of Penn State, and Najee Harris. Wide receivers include Chris Olave, Emeka Mbuka, Jordan Tyson, Jakobi Meyers, Matthew Golden, and Troy Franklin. And the tight ends include Brock Bowers and Juwan Johnson. We'll start kind of tagging a few guys up. I mean, it's kind of crazy that he's not even draftable. I don't even like Braylon Allen, but at 215, like that's kind of nuts. So we're going to go ahead and add him. Again, I'm going to take what the board's going to give me. And if they're going to give me Braylon Allen at 215, I know Breece Hall's coming back, but this is to say, like, what if Breece Hall gets hurt? You're not going to have Braylon Allen on a squad. That's pretty crazy, even for a guy who I don't think is that good and I don't really like that much. He does have some explosiveness, and he is a handcuff. So I guess that is what it is. We're going to go where the value is. All right. I mean, for me, I just love Jalen Noel in this range. I think he's an easy click. He's second-year player out of Iowa State. He put some stuff on tape towards the end of last season. He had a touchdown in the playoff game against the Chargers. He showed some flashes of that explosiveness. I'm going to go Jalen Noel here. Between all these guys, you have older players like Kupp and Mooney, guys like Keon Coleman who don't even show up to the facility on time. Malik Washington, but he's on a disaster of an offense and so much uncertainty. Vele, Malachi Fields, and Noel were all appealing to me, but when it was all said and done, I just like Noel's situation the best. So we went ahead and scooped up Jalen Noel at pick 218. I think he has a chance to play slot. I don't know what's going on with Tank Dell and his injuries. So we go with Jalen Noel. Let's recap the squad. We did end up with some divisional correlation too with Braylon Allen and Travion, incidentally, with that late scoop on Braylon. So that's kind of cool. Anyways, here's the team. Jalen Hurts, no stacks. Bo Nix stacked with Troy Franklin, and Fernando Mendoza stacked up with Brock Bowers. We've got Bijan, Travion, Rachaad White, Kamani Vidal, the rookie Katron Allen from Penn State, Najee Harris, and Braylon Allen. Wide receivers include Chris Olave, Emeka Egbuka, Jordan Tyson, the rookie out of Arizona State, Jakobi Meyers, Matthew Golden, Troy Franklin, and Jalen Noel. Tight ends include Brock Bowers and Juwan Johnson. With this last pick, I'm kind of leaning into wide receiver here. Feel like we could use one more piece there. I'm also intrigued with Elijah Arroyo as a second-year breakout, low ownership piece. So it's really kind of between these three guys for me. You get the rookie upside in Malachi Fields. We kind of, surprise box. We don't know what he is at the next level. Jack Besh, he's interesting. That would be a stack. And then Arroyo. I guess I'm going to go Malachi Fields. Fairly low ownership. You know what? Actually, let me change that up. I'm going to go Elijah Arroyo. Let's get that little extra piece in the tight end room. He's explosive. He's got upside. He's low ownership. We want that on our builds. He's not getting drafted on every team. Feel pretty good about the 7. So we end up with the 3-7-7-3 symmetrical build here. But I like it. Let's go ahead and recap the squad. Jalen Hurts, Bo Nix, Fernando Mendoza, Bijan, Travion, Rachaad White, Kamani Vidal, Katron Allen, Najee Harris, Braylon Allen. Wide receivers, Chris Olave, Egbuka, Tyson, Jakobi Meyers, Matthew Golden, Troy Franklin, and Jalen Noel. And then Brock Bowers, Juwan Johnson, and Elijah Arroyo. Interesting team. Light at running back for sure. Obviously, we went with a little extra volume there to hopefully account for that. Feel good about everybody in the running back room. Question marks maybe around Noel and his role. Franklin's kind of established a role, I think, over the last couple of years. Golden should grow. Myers is solid. Tyson's a first-round pick. And then I have no concerns about Ibuka and Olave. Strong at the tight end room, I would say. Bowers, the best tight end on the board, followed by Jawan Johnson, who had a really good year last year and should hopefully build on that with the new quarterback and coach. Seems to be an ascending offense. And then a total dart throw with Elijah Arroyo, second-year guy out of Miami, in that pass-catching tight end role. So there you have it. This is the afternoon best ball lunch draft. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and I'll catch you guys next time. Maybe this evening, if not, probably sometime tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll catch you soon. Peace.